how you're talking about like you shat your shit everywhere.
They actually don't know this story. We could probably tell this story.
Poop went everywhere when they were trying to hook up, and
a family was eating dinner.
Everyone's been there that has an RV. Like
All right. Hey, what's up, guys? Tip and Tara here from Fit to Travel, and here is our second actual episode of Fireside Chat. Not sponsored yet. We're trying to look for a sponsor. Fireball, whiskey, something along those lines. But this is an extra special one here because we are actually here with some good friends of ours. We are, this is Courtney and Kevin, soon to be newlyweds. We are, where are we at, Tara?
We are in West Glacier RV Park, right outside Glacier National Park. They have been traveling for the last month in their new RV, which is right behind us. A little upgrade from our little van. And so they've been on the road for a month, and so we decided to meet up with them here. So we've been here the last 3 days together before we part ways.
So you guys have been on the road for a month. What was the deciding factor to go out and get an RV?
Ooh.
You don't have to get too in depth, but
or do you want? Okay, well, no. I think you should say what inspired us to get the first RV, and I'll tell the story of the second RV because, folks, there are two RVs in this story and a Jeep. So.
The first RV was because we didn't want to get on an airplane.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is COVID.
In the middle of COVID.
Middle of COVID.
Wedding stuff.
Yeah,
And to go to a doctor's appointment in Montana, which we're now canceling.
Although we're in Montana.
You know,
Right outside of where the doctor is. No, okay, but I think there's a couple few things that you kind of slipped in there that are probably important context setters. And the one is that we were supposed to get married in April. And so obviously Rona V had different plans. And so, then we rescheduled for September, and fingers crossed that we're able to do that. But until then, we're just a little cautious about air travel, but we are addicted to traveling, and we still wanted to be able to see the world, the U.S., and be able to go and do wedding planning. So that was the inspiration for RV number one.
Let's talk about RV number one.
Okay, I was like, RV number two.
I wasn't able to. Not yet.
Oh.
Sorry, Siri. Siri wanted to chime in.
What's that?
Editing.
Oh yeah, I'll edit it. Yeah, don't worry.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, let's talk about RV number one.
What was RV number one?
It was Winnebago
View.
24 foot.
Yeah.
Something or other.
Yeah, it was a Class C 2017 Winnebago View on a Mercedes chassis. It has the twin beds in the back, which was super important because in the middle there was a stand that you could make into a king-size bed, but we said forget that, and it was a great place to put a CPAP because sometimes when you travel you still have to use your CPAP. For all of you CPAP listeners, maybe you could get sponsored by a CPAP company.
I would love it. That would be great.
You're trying to get used to what it's like being married, not sleeping next to each other.
Yeah.
Good one,
You guys
Kev.
want your separate beds.
Yeah.
Correct.
So you guys got that RV, and then you started driving towards Boise. What happened?
Well, about 1 hour outside of Portland, it was about hour 3 of the trip because slowpoke over here, until he slammed on his brakes, which is what happened at the 1 hour outside of Portland mark in Hood River. And I have had the grand idea that I could actually put together the RV while he was driving it.
Not a smart idea.
It was a terrible idea. If you've ever been in an RV, there's latches everywhere for a reason.
Yeah.
And so, oh no, dogs are fine.
Right.
So we were driving, he had to slam on his brakes and just had to like everything went flying. And that included the dog, me, clothes, my canned wine, because limo laws. We were not drinking illegally. And yeah, everything went flying. I had a meltdown. I cried. We went to a laundromat. I drank wine in a parking lot, and I told him we were getting a bigger RV. And we have a bigger RV, so it's great.
So she got her way the whole time.
Yes.
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 So, Kevin, are you happy with the bigger RV?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Now.
No.
Well,
He told me I was right from the start.
So what is RV number 2?
I like it better when you say it.
It's a Class A 34-foot Thor Aria 2020. And I think diesel pusher. Yeah. And that is about as much as I know about RVs at this point, but I'm doing a lot of research because there's even bigger RVs to go.
Yeah.
We've learned. They go up to 45-foot, people.
Yeah.
So they may be upgrading to a number 3.
Well, if wedding reschedule attempt number 2 gets canceled, yeah, we're gonna go big.
So for you guys being people who, I mean, have you guys ever driven an RV before?
No, and not as scary as it sounds. So
Okay.
anybody who is thinking about like RVing, renting, buying, the guy told us at the dealership it takes 200 miles to get used to it. It doesn't take quite 200 miles. It still is a little nerve-wracking when a giant semi cruises by you or something, or a person cuts you off. Never cut off an RVer, listener, watcher. Don't do it ever, because it's that can still be a little unnerving, but it's not as intimidating as it felt when you're standing in the parking lot and you're first looking at them and you're trying to learn a new language and you're thinking about all the hoses, and there's a lot of hoses at first, but it's really you get used to it really fast, and we're finding it to be a super cool way to see different spots and meet new people, so we really like it.
So let's talk about how you guys needed something to tow behind and why. The reasoning, because this is all important for people who are going to go out and buy a rig like this.
Yeah. So try driving this through, to run to the grocery store. You have to unhook your poop hose. You have to unhook your cable. You have to unhook your electricity. You have to unhook your water. Not so convenient. So we found ourselves actually the first month where we were renting cars and we were Ubering, where there was Uber and you had good cell service, and we just realized that we were actually sub-optimizing and really shortchanging our own adventure. And so we decided that it was worth, after a lot of research of kind of value and all of that, and flat towing. Didn't know what flat towing was until you told me about it. But we ended up buying a Jeep Wrangler, Little Willie's edition, little throwback to the military. Happy 4th. And it's worked out great already. Our the biggest justification that we're doing right now is we're tracking each day that we think we would have rented a car. And when you start to average in rental car price plus gas plus insurance plus that, Enterprise, please pick us up. And if there's not an Enterprise, you have to Uber $40 there. And so we've been starting to log all of that just to be able to report back on cost to value. But so far, in the first 48 hours, it's still pretty new, 72 hours. It's working out super great. In full transparency, we haven't towed it yet. So we'll do a little report in from the road. We'll send a quick video of how that goes. But I definitely would recommend, if you're really going to enjoy the RV experience, especially if you're doing something big, I think you got to get a vehicle to tow behind, or otherwise you're just going to always be in this struggle of wanting to go do and then having your transportation be the limiter, which is kind of counterproductive of being out on the road. Yeah.
So would you guys say that you're enjoying this? What's going on? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've gotten to not only see parts of the U.S. that, we're very fast always to travel outside of the U.S., to be honest. And so I think that we've gotten to see parts of the U.S., which has been amazing and beautiful and brilliant. Staying in RV parks is super fun. It really is. Or campgrounds or Harvest Host locations. Maybe Harvest Host should be a sponsor, but I mean, it's just, you know, like we have had at this point 16 different places that we have stayed over our almost 5 weeks, and each of them we have met really kind, really awesome, everything from families to retired to wealthy business owners to just other young couples that have said, fuck it, pardon my language, screw it. You can
it's fine.
you can edit it out, you know, and that has just been super awesome. Like, it kind of reminds you of the, I don't know, like, good humanity in the world, especially in the time that, you know, kind of feels a little bit tense or a lot bit tense. Like, our experience has been really, really positive.
Yeah. What would you guys each, we'll start with Kevin first. What is your favorite part about just the whole entire thing? Like, what would you say makes you stay out on the road? As the rain's coming in.
Anything we have to be home for.
Yeah.
And we're never going to get this time again.
Uh-huh.
So, well, most, who knows, but it's like a mini retirement for her work and stuff, so it's just, I've always wanted to do something like this. I always thought it'd be like in the northeast or southeast versus the west.
And it's still nice.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, so we have the time, so.
Yeah. What about you, Court?
I think that, you know, I've been sort of commenting about, you know, starting to like write down my windshield reflections, and I do think that that is like one of my favorite things about the time is that you just get this like uninterrupted sense of quiet and beauty and calm and peace that allows you to have to be like super humble, super self-reflective. There's nothing that's more equalizing than like standing with your poop hose next to like a family eating dinner and having it spray everywhere or whatever it might be. And so I just think that there's just a lot of that, like, it's a very, very grounding, connecting, growing experience, which I think for you and I, like, given that we have the time, like we're privileged in that way, like this is a good way to spend it, because I feel like we're giving back, we're seeing our own country, and we're growing together, and so like what more could you ask for?
I mean, that I'd say that's probably our favorite thing too, is like we like to travel internationally, but like we have so much to see here in our own backyard, which is just insane.
And there's been like a nice forced reminder of that, just with given different restrictions and things. Like, it has just, I think, reopened our eyes to the beauty of our own country. Yeah.
And one common thing in this Fireside Chat and the last one is we talk about poop.
Oh, really? That's great.
The last one, poop, it's a common denominator,
Yeah, poop is the great equalizer.
Everybody does it. You got to figure out how to do it. And that's probably one of the biggest things that, like, people worry about, and it's like, do I have to shit in the woods or whatever? But, I mean, you guys obviously don't.
Well, no, but you still have to, like, hook up your poop hose.
Correct,
in the woods, and, you know, and that's just basically the same thing.
Well, and, like, for RVers, especially, like, it's like how you're talking about, like, you shat your shit everywhere.
They actually don't know this story. We could probably tell this story.
Poop went everywhere when they were trying to hook up, and
a family was eating dinner.
Everyone's been there that has an RV. Like, everyone has gone through that. So it's not like you're the only one that's going through that. Or, you know, like,
it's like you just have to kind of get over yourself. Like, I think that there's like something. Ask for help. And you're not that special. Like, I don't know how else to like say it. Like, but like that is I think a really great lesson to like have every once in a while, is like, actually nobody gives a shit about your shit, and they're happy to help you with your shit. Right. And so, like,
in more ways than one.
Exactly. And so it's like, just know that. Don't be above asking for help. And I think Kevin has taught me a lot about that, of like, I like, my normal sense is to go and be like, I have to get it perfect before I would try. And you don't. Like, because you will do a 4-hour walk around of a vehicle, and that's not enough time. You will forget things. You will have written everything down, and the moment comes that you're hooking in that hose for the first time. And you hit it the wrong way, and before you know it, you're not dry camping anymore, folks. Your poop is flowing everywhere, and that just happens, and it's okay. It's okay. There's going to be a nice person who looks up from their family's dinner table and says,
let me help.
"Been there, brother. I've got a part for you." And you just
you had a part for. That's awesome.
Speaking from experience.
Yeah.
So what would you guys say, like, to somebody who's on the fence or been thinking about doing this for a while? Like, are there any words of advice or?
I would definitely say, I mean, you guys gave us a great tip with the harvest host thing. Like, get creative with your campsites. Like, I think that has been one of the most kind of like fun elements, is been like not sticking to like the, you know, your typical
RV park.
Yeah, exactly, like Google search or whatever.
So for those of you that are new or have not done Harvest Host has like over 1,000 different, they're not even campgrounds, they're like breweries or wineries or farms, distilleries,
golf
courses, that you can stay at. These people are opening up their parking for you to stay at, and we have met some of the most amazing people at our Harvest Host.
The owners, the people that stay there.
Like these are small business owners that you get to help, like, contribute to.
Yeah. So it's a really, like Courtney was saying, it's a really great way to like spice up your stay. You don't always have to stay in an RV park. You can, or you can do like camping on the side of the road, or you can do Walmart or whatever. Exactly. But Harvest Host is a great way that you can see the map of where you're going and like, oh, there's a couple Harvest Hosts. I'm going to call them and see if they have spots.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, generally they have had spots. You know, like, and that it's great.
Yeah, and so like I would say like outside of just getting creative with that, if anybody out there is like me, I was an executive at Nike, and I was very planned and scheduled, and everything kind of had to be like way organized in advance. Like even when we would travel internationally, like I might have scheduled to the minute, but I knew exactly where we were staying on which day and which location. I think that there is this, like, you also need to embrace a little bit of that flexibility and fluidity, because everything takes a little bit longer when you're driving an RV, especially when you're driving something bigger or pulling something, and just don't have yourself so hooked to the to the outcome. I would just say enjoy the process more than like I've ever had to do before, and in the process you kind of learn a lot about yourself and your partner, and
I think that's
pretty cool.
Great advice, because like Tara's less patient than I am, and now that we've been doing this and going around, she's been becoming more like, I'm like, what are we doing today? And normally I'm used to, we're doing this, but she's like, oh, it doesn't matter. We can go in and do this or go do that. So
control
it's
what you can control.
You have to learn how to just go with the flow.
Yeah.
Things just don't always work out to your plan, unfortunately.
So we might get, like right now, we might get rained down. And then if so, we might, and we might move it inside to finish up, but we'll see. We'll see if the sprinkling will stop.
I think we're fine. It looks really clear right beyond this single cloud.
And like, it doesn't even look like a rain cloud above it.
Yeah,
but there is just a lot of like letting go. I think that is very healing inside of like, there's something about driving trips that I just hadn't taken a driving trip in so long. Like we had done really amazing, but big over the water flying trips. And there's something about being behind the road and not having that like fixed plan. And and I would say whether or not you believe in or like a Walmart or a big business, one of the best companies ever though in terms of like their kindness around like you can stay in any Walmart parking lot in any location in their parking lot and nobody will bother you, nobody will say anything. And so it's like at the end of the day there's always going to be somebody's home, their farm, an RV park, a Walmart, like there's always a place to stay. And so if that's ever a worry, don't worry about it. Says the biggest type A planner on the entire planet. So don't worry about it. You've got it.
Yeah, that's awesome. You have any questions, Tara? Pretty much covered. Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to add?
I would just say start small. Like we went and bought one because renting's expensive. We should have rented one.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
First time and done a 3-day thing. Even something like getting your hands on what you guys have and doing that for 3 days. Like I would have done it like boom, boom, boom versus just like blah.
Because you guys jumped right in. You basically head first, no parachute.
And then you have all the stress and the crap flying.
And I would just say like the learning is like you survive either way, and it's worth whatever path. But I think it is important it's really good advice of you can rent, you can like ask to borrow a friend's. We have been we had my sister and her family come and use the first RV that we bought, and they, after like, you know, a week, realized how great it was and how like, you know, and they got their arms, you know, kind of wrapped around it, and you know, but they just got to rent it from us through Outdoorsy. Outdoorsy is a great company. If you need a company to rent from, also
looking for sponsors,
and you know, and I would say like post on the blogs, people respond. We're on like Thor forums or whatever, just because that's our RV, and of course we have the most questions about our specific model.
It's like irv2.com or something.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen that. Stumbled upon it a couple times. Yeah.
And you know, and I think it all comes back to you just got to kind of get over yourself and not being afraid to ask. It's and you know, in having friends like with having Tip here, we were instantly like, help us with our electronics, you know, and you just have to be, you know, I don't know, you just have to be open. And in the, like, the cool thing is that you'll be able to offer something back. Yeah. And that's like, I don't know, kind of, I feel like what makes the world go round. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's like, you know, ask, be kind, give back.
So after after 5 weeks on the road, would you guys say like you've changed? You know, like personally, just kind of like the way you see things or the way you look at life, or not really? I mean, there's no right or wrong answer. Just curious.
I don't think I have. I think she has.
Yeah, but I think that I mean, I guess like for anybody who's viewing, he's been in the position of, you know, because I mean, a lot of smart decisions young. He's had more flexibility the last couple of years. I was very much bound to the corporate calendar, and that like, you know, like quote unquote 9 to 5, which is really like 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. or something like that. And so I had probably the biggest like whiplash of change, but it was, but it's been life-giving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like life-giving.
Yeah.
And I think that is like, it just feeds your soul.
Yeah. The reason why I asked that question is because we get that a lot, and just for me reflecting, like I didn't leave the country until we got my passport like around 25 or 26, right? So I traveled to like Vegas and LA and that type of stuff, but like not until we got the van and that we start like traveling around and seeing the rest of the world did I started to change and like see things different. I mean, international travel also, but like just here, like realizing how many states. I mean, I've been to 40 states now.
That's huge.
And which is like insane. So I won't hit all 50, but like most people don't step out of their comfort zone. They don't even leave Oregon. You know, we're all from Oregon. So they barely even go to Washington, which is just a 20-minute drive. 30-minute drive. So that's the biggest thing is, you know, why we do our travel blog, why we do this, is we try to push people to get out there and do that. And you don't have to wait until, you know, you're older. You don't got to wait till you're 55, 60 or retired to actually do this. You can do it. You just got to make it a goal. You got to go out and actually do it. I mean, that's the biggest thing.
You just have to do. Like, I mean, the, you know, whatever, like the insert amazing quote here, like you can just like write it underneath for me. But
you're going to have to give it to me. But.
You know, I mean, it's like the first step is the hardest one of just doing. And
it's scary.
It's super scary. I mean, you know, as somebody who has not worked since I was in 5th grade, you know, I mean, I worked in the cornfields, and then I worked at Dairy Queen, and then I was a recruiter for the circus. I worked in like a hardware manufacturing plant. Like, I mean, I've done it all. And like the idea of just giving one like time, you know, to like making it a priority. And then also, again, I'm lucky, you know, but it's like I got to give time to us and to myself, and like had to sort of accept I'm worth it. Like, not to get too wooey, but it is a little bit of like, you guys kind of also have to like, you got to trust the process. You need to just go, and you need to say you're worth it. And like those things are not easy. They're not, but it's worth it in the end.
I mean, but
I was gonna say, and I think like we're not just saying like go out and buy an RV. Like Kevin was saying earlier, like go rent a van or go rent an RV or
rent
a tent or whatever. Like, there's plenty of options. We talked about this last time. Like there's plenty of options to do it on any budget, but it's more about just going and doing it and exploring and having that self-reflection or having that like confidence or belief or whatever it is that you're like looking for, and that's the biggest thing is like just going and doing it. Like nature can be a huge like soul soother, you
Totally.
know, for everybody.
And like knowing
it's a different form of therapy.
Exactly, and knowing these people for a few years and like, you know, becoming really close with them, becoming good friends. This is both really out of both their comfort zones. What they're doing right now, which is like, which is cool to see because I mean it's been a month since we seen them, and to have them to see like the way they are, that where they're at right now with how like we thought they would have killed each other after a week. And they're still after how it started. Yeah, exactly.
It was a rough start in that Hood River Walmart parking lot.
Not looking so good.
So after like a month, 5 weeks, and you guys are still doing it, and you both look happy as clams. I mean, we wish we could stay out that long right now, and it's just, I mean, that's the ultimate goal, and it's so cool to see you guys in this position right now, and like to be out of your comfort zone, because it's not easy traveling and being in a small space with your spouse. Like, I mean, it's not easy, but
or just not having everything that you are used to having, you know, like even though you can fit a lot in these small-ish vehicles, like you are used to like what you have at home and like your day-to-day stuff or your, you know, but there's still other things that are good without those things.
You just get like your interior space, it might be small, but your exterior space is limitless. And I think that like that's weather
permitting.
Yeah, but even that,
no, but she hit it on the nose right there. That's the biggest thing. True. It's like, because we, you know, in our van, when we're just even at home, like we'll pull up to, you know, just like an empty park, and that's our backyard for the next 4 to 5 hours, the night, whatever it is. Like, and so it's even though it's small there, you have so much space outside, and then you get a chance to meet so many other people, like your neighbors when you're at a campground like this. Like, people are friendly.
That's the coolest part, is meeting the people, like different people, and getting to, you know, I mean, like we would be liars if we didn't say that we've already like not had out like our atlas and already trying to plan like like what does your schedule look like over the next 4 weeks, and can you meet up here, and you know, and I think that that's just the fun part about adventures is that you typically when you're on one, you're planning the next one. And and like when you're kind of on like a never-ending one, which I kind of feel like we're on right now, which is awesome. And it someday like will change in form. I don't think it ends. It just has a different little route. But you know, we are already, you know, planning the next thing, and we get a lot of inspiration from you and Tara, and you know, and that's just that's the truth, is that like you attract and you become attracted to people that have your same core values, have share interests, like challenge you to make you a better person. And Tip and Tara started as our trainer. Tara started as Kevin's trainer. She became my trainer. Tip now trains Kevin. Don't judge anybody's body at this moment.
This is COVID
away.
Body. It's okay.
Yes, but you know, it's like you attract people who are interested in growing in ways that are similar, and I think that that's the friendship that we've developed. And to be able to share a few days with you now, and a few days in a couple of weeks, like that's really, really special. And you know, we wish everybody could have that, and I think everyone can. You just gotta choose to buy that tent or rent that Cruise America or whatever it might be, and you know, and just go for it, and it'll be worth it. Okay.
Last question: what advice would you, Kevin, give to guys traveling with your spouse? With your spouse, what would be the biggest, like, I mean, I'm not trying to get you in trouble here, but like, what would be the biggest like pet peeve you might have?
Pet peeve?
Yeah, pet peeve about being on the road, like
or
about
advice,
that she does, or advice, something along those lines, so that.
Pack more sweatshirts. The mountains are cold.
Don't buy too much.
When they freak out, just let them freak out.
Just okay.
Just let them freak
That's
out.
great advice.
Yeah.
I do that. I say that too. Yes.
Yeah.
Walk around the block or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great advice. I mean,
Drink a beer and relax.
That's just great advice for life, anyways. Like generally, I mean, that's for either one of us, if one of us freaks out, whatever, it's like,
hard
okay.
not to want to fix when the person wigs out. It gets easier over time.
Well, especially in a smaller space,
Yeah,
right? Like
right.
in a house, you can go to another bedroom, or you can go whatever to the
a
kitchen
friend's
or what.
house.
Yeah.
Just
Here, I mean,
You're
depending on where
stuck.
you are, like you said, you take a walk outside.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know, like
exactly. Remember that limitless outdoor space
Yeah.
that you found?
yeah, exactly.
You remove yourself from the situation, and you just let them all calm down, and then everything will be good. But yeah, it's like limited
What about you, Court?
Oh, I think it kind of like sticks in the zone of like control what you can control and don't control anything further.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that like is similar to what you were saying, and it's like being that like nervous backstreet driver, like or backseat driver doesn't help anything, or telling somebody how to do something. Like it there's a lot of just kind of like, I don't know, just mind your own business and control what you can control and enjoy the time that you have together, and don't fight over the small stuff. Like it's not worth it. And I would say at the start, like we're so out of our comfort zones that we started to, like you want to take it out on the other person. And at the end of the day, it was kind of like, okay, time.
Yeah.
I'm going to control what I can control. You control what you can control. And at the end of the day, can we just sit outside, look at those beautiful stars, look at the rain cloud? I don't really care what it is. Like, like remember why we're here and why we're doing this, and how freaking lucky we are that we were able to not only have the time, but we were confident enough or willing enough to go outside of our comfort zone to do this. So, like, get back to basics, and you know what? Don't be an asshole.
I think that's good for like relationships in general, right?
Yeah.
Like you really learn about how to work together when you're on the road, especially for a long time, and in a smaller space.
Yeah.
Like, you really learn the boundaries and what's important. Like what is important to fight over. Like a lot of times it's not really important.
Yeah.
Like communication is huge, but it's like the fighting part, or like the getting mad at like a random thing. Like there's a cloud. It's like you can't. Like you said, you can't control that.
Yeah. One of our favorite books, and again, part of my language, but is The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And I think that like this road trip has been like the art of not giving a fuck. And the art of not giving a fuck is not caring. Mm-hmm. It's about knowing what to care about. Yeah. And like that, I think, is like a huge life lesson. And so I carry my 0 fucks coin with me everywhere, and I hold it, and I'm like, is this worth a fuck? No, it's not worth a fuck. Yeah. So I'm not sure you can edit out all those fucks, but you can bleep a lot.
Fucks are in there.
And and I think that's just a huge. It's just like what's worth it and what's not, and finding that line, and it's amplified when you're in a small space and you're like just dealing with the woes of travel. It's like you're dealing with like laundry and quarters and
full campsites.
Campsites, and it's a holiday weekend, and like, are you shooting at fireworks? And we have a skittish dog, and like it's just like all of those things are just amplifiers to blow ups. And it's really important to kind of keep stepping back, hold that coin, and be like, is it worth a fuck or not? And I tell you 9 times out of 10 it's not.
And generally, it all works out regardless of how hard you try. Like
it's beautiful no matter what.
You can try as hard as you want, but generally, it's gonna work out regardless.
Yeah, I mean, I'll show you after we wrap up here, like the view that we've been staring at this whole time. So
even when we had a rain cloud, and now it's gorgeous.
Yeah, exactly. That's the biggest thing. And so, one thing. When you guys pulled up and we saw your rig, what was the thing that you said about your guys' separation of duties?
Oh, I am interior.
I am the exterior.
Your deck crew.
Your deck crew.
Deck crew.
The deck. The bosun and the head stew.
Exactly.
Poo on me.
Exactly. I've been doing all the dishes. I've been decorating the tables for dinner.
Yeah. No, we have the similar thing too. I mean, it's like, and it just it just happened that way. But I mean, I do the cooking generally, but
I'm on the fire.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's the
same
thing.
About to eat some of your great cooking.
Yeah, exactly. And the last people got steak afterwards too. So
it's the infamous
it was good.
Fireside steak.
Yeah, that's what it should be called.
Fireside steaks, I like
exactly. Got a new name. But yeah, that's the biggest thing is like there's for us, there's separation of duties. It just naturally happens.
Yeah.
And
appreciate what the other person does. Like, I don't know, just that sense of gratitude and appreciation. And I know that these are all of the things that show up in the different books and blogs and therapy and all of that. But I mean, I think it really all boils down to, like, be thankful, be kind, be patient, say thank you. You know, it's like, tell the other person, like, you have to vocalize it too. And, you know, and just, like, you know, like, respect each other in that way. And my goodness, like, boy, is life good.
Yeah.
Oh, life is great.
Yeah.
That's probably where we should end it. We want to thank these two. This has been so awesome. I mean, we only want to go for 15 minutes. It's been 35.
Oh, whoops.
But no, it's perfect. No, it's all right. These are these stories that I think people want to hear. We get great feedback from the first one, and people have told us they wanted more of these. And it's it's those answers that you gave us is what everyone's looking for when they want to do something like this.
Being real.
Being real, yeah.
And don't ever hesitate if somebody has, like, a specific question or something to just reach out directly to us, and we'll be happy to give the, you know, even more unfiltered advice.
Yeah.
We'll do another, like, update in 5 weeks or something.
Yeah, if they're still out on the road
or
they came back
Kevin's
home.
got a beer down to here.
Oh,
and, you know,
I don't think he'll do that. So now we're going to drink some White Claws, and I'm going to make a steak.
Awesome.
White
Thanks,
Claw,
everybody.
Fireball, Coors Light, anybody who's watching this.
Wine.
Wine, yeah. I mean, you can send it to us, and we'll put it in front of the fire next time, something along those lines. I don't know. Help us out.
Fireball, if Fireside.